Hello everyone, I'm CanadianEgg, and what you're looking at right now is my new picture, and this was done for me by Starwolf, and I'd like to give him a big thank you for that. Starwolf is the man behind the Wolfpack podcast. If you haven't seen the first episode already, the link will be in the description. I would also like to thank him again for involving me in that. It's been really fun, and I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode, and I hope you enjoy this one coming up right here.
Hello, fellow Star Citizens. This is Wolfpack, Episode 2. This is a podcast devoted to covering all things Star Citizen. I am your host, Starwolf, and today we're changing the format just slightly from last week. So let me just run you through it real quick. The first segment, which we had last week as well, we did 3 questions. We're going to call it The Hunt. Basically, we want to cover... We want to answer the big, hard questions about the game, Star Citizen, because there's so many unknowns in this game, and a lot of stuff that's kind of vague and hasn't been discussed too well. So we try to uncover a lot of, these deep questions that we want to tackle and give you guys answers to. The next segment is the Howling session. It's going to be a little bit more casual. We're going to bring personal questions that we have about the game and bring it to the table and talk about it. And hopefully find some answers there. But most of it's just personal query, like what's your favorite ship and whatnot. So that's going to be that segment. As well, we have some new visuals. If you guys didn't notice, I took the time last week to just draw up some name faceplates. And so, yeah, hopefully you guys like that. We have over in the yellow box basically a prompt that's going to show the questions that we're talking about and guide us through the episode. So hope you guys enjoy that. All right, so with that, let's get started, and we're going to jump right into the hunt. And so yes, Canadian Egg has our first question. You want to take us through that?
Of course. So the first question is, why should you care about this game? Because, yeah, the game is pre-alpha. We know little information. Actually, I shouldn't say little. We actually know a lot for how early in development it is. And that's just how wonderful Cloud Imperium Games is. But why should you care, and why should you buy into Star Citizen right now? Well, buying into Star Citizen right now is not only buying your copy of the game, getting your alpha access and beta access and your ship, depending on which package you buy, but it's helping make this game come out as fast and being the best game it can be. With, as you know, we're almost at 39 million with the crowdfunding on Star Citizen, and that's going to unlock more in the universe. So with each $1 million, they keep unlocking more things. Also, when you fund this game, you're showing that we want this game, that maybe there will be more great games in the future, because they will look, well, everyone wanted Star Citizen, and they all liked Star Citizen, so let's take what Star Citizen did and improve on it. So maybe that will happen in the future. Coming into this game now, purchasing your ship, donating to the cause to create this awesome game is just helping the gaming community in general welcome a fantastic new addition to the space simulator genre, and also revamp the space simulators.
Yeah, I see this as being, like, when it comes out, I can see just the media being like, oh crap, this happened? Because right now, like, it's not being covered on any of the big news outlets. I mean, every now and then when there's one, kind of standout thing, like the hangar module, I saw a little bit of news trickle in from the bigger, news outlets. But, I mean, it's really being overlooked. I think when it finally does hit and people start to get the picture of this game, they're going to be like, holy crap, like, this thing's amazing. And I can see more studios trying to do something like this, trying to follow suit. I agree with you. So cool. Thanks, Canadian Egg. Now I got the second question in the hunt, and mine is going to be on release dates. Now this is kind of muddy because there's not just one single big release date for this game. It's going to happen in what they call modules, in chunks. So I'm going to just take you guys through real quick the expected release dates for the modules. So here we go. The first one is the hangar module, which we already have. And that basically was the first thing they actually physically gave us in game, And so we were able to go around and look at ships, and that's pretty much it. Just go around in the hangar, look at ships. The second module they're releasing is the dogfighting module, which is coming up. We actually got some info on it recently. They are going to kind of unveil it at PAX East, which is, I believe, April 11th through 13th. And then after that, they're going to, they say shortly after, they're going to publicly release it to us, the backers. And we know at first they're going to have kind of the smaller ships, if you want to call them that, smaller ship dogfights. And then later on, they plan to release the bigger ships into the battle, amp it up. So, anyways, that's coming up next. And then they had a release date for the PlanetSide module, or planned scheduled one, but I think the first one was like supposed to be in April, but that's when we're getting the dogfighting module. So I think they're just needing to push back all of these next release dates that I'm talking about. So I'm not really going to mention it. I think they're just needing to see how the dogfighting module goes, and then from there they're going to give us a better firm date on all these other modules. But the next one is the PlanetSide module, and they mentioned, every time they mention this one, they mentioned a bar and buying and selling things. So yes, we will be in the bar for sure, because that's always been what they said we're going to do on this module, mainly to like chat with NPCs, buy, sell stuff. So that's going to be the PlanetSide module. Then the next module after that is the first-person shooter shipboarding module. So just as it sounds, you're going to board ships and shoot at each other. Awesome. So then the Squadron 42 Alpha was scheduled after that, but I don't think it is really going to be an alpha anymore. It sounds like they're just going to do it episodic. Do you guys know anything about that?
Yeah. Well, basically, and it really, really makes a lot of sense, is originally they kind of made the mention that there would be an alpha and a beta for the Squadron 42.
Mm-hmm.
But then they sort of thought about it like, well, that would spoil the surprise of your single player experience or co-op experience. You know what I mean? Like you'd know the storylines, you know this and that.
Yep.
So what they decided to do was, rather than, release all of the Squadron 42 and then alpha, beta test, or whatever, they kind of looked at it, well, a lot of the things that are going on in Squadron 42 are already going to be modules that we're going to be testing anyways. So us testing the dogfight module, PlanetSide, boarding combat, that's all going to transfer to Squadron 42. And then this way, this allows them to do an episodic release of, I believe they said they're going to start with 10, a first slot of 10 missions, and then another 10 supposedly every month after is what they're aiming for.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I found. So good to back that up, because I wasn't quite sure.
Just to point out something real quick, in the Wingman's hangar today, February 19th, they did confirm that with one of the lead developers in the Manchester offices.
Oh, cool. So yes, the Squadron 42 Alpha, that's not going to happen, as we mentioned. But the next module on the list was the Persistent Universe module beta. That's there, and then right after that is their supposed launch of the Star Citizen and Squadron 42. And like we said, Squadron 42 is going to be episodic. And I am guessing it's going to be late 2015. They had said early 2015. I just doubt it. What do you guys think, the release on that?
Well, I heard that it was going to be like after sort of in the middle of releasing the episodes of Squadron 42, or immediately after, or just somewhere around there, that the Persistent Universe Alpha was going to go live, and then that would go for a little while, and then that would lead into beta, and then that would lead into full release with maybe minor breaks in between, but I don't see why they wouldn't just go all the way through and then just have an update, right? And then go into full release.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of these would-be release date and all this information on the modules, it's been changing so frequently, it's hard to keep track of them. So Like, even from what we're saying, it's probably going to change again. So, but from what we know, Driven, from what I had mentioned, oh, and one other thing, they were also going to, after the release date of these games, the multiplayer and the single player sections of them, they were going to release modding tools and tablet companion apps. So, like, I wonder how the modding tool is going to play into this to mod this kind of game. Are they talking about just Squadron 42 moddable or Star Citizen as well? Because, I mean, you modify shared, an MMO. I mean, I don't know how that would really work.
Well, the way they're going to do the modding is they're not going to allow you to mod into the persistent universe. So they're going to give people the tools to make their own mods and the tools to host their own servers. So you can have a private server.
Cool.
So say someone wants to, I've seen on the modding forums that there's been talk about funny enough, an Eve dogfighting mod, which I find it funny because Eve's making a dogfighting mod. And then there's also talk of like a Star Wars mod that people are going to try and create and stuff like that. Also, what they said about the modding is that, if what you create is good enough and it feels like it has a place in the Star Citizen universe, they will probably work with you to actually implement it. So that's also incentive for some people to mod, like that can go down as far as, like someone creating their own special type of mining robot or, their own ship. And if it feels like it has a place in Star Citizen, we might actually see it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense there.
Yeah, CIG's being very open with it.
Yeah. So, but as far as the lineup of the modules that I listed, does that sound pretty true to you, Trevin? Do you have any info on the release date? Because that's one thing that I think they're still fluctuating on, but I haven't personally heard or read anything about, okay, we actually now have a firm window for release. I just haven't found anything about that.
Yeah, I think, a lot has changed since the summit, especially with the 39 million funding goal, which they're going to announce changes to how the game is going to proceed from there. I really can't see an early 2015 release of Persistent Universe. Kind of like you mentioned with the Planet side was supposed to release March, April frame time, which is going to be the same time for the dogfight module. So I think everything's just been pushed back a little bit further. There's been a lot of speculation on like Reddit and the forums when they did the Wingman's Hangar a couple weeks ago that had the pictures of the whiteboards with, prospective dates for this and that, which you can barely read. So people have, guesstimated that it would probably, they have it planned out till mid 2015, but there's no guarantee that that's really what that was talking about.
As far as guesses, from me, I say late 2015. Canadian Egg, what's your guesstimate on the release date? Just your personal opinion.
Well, for the actual full game, yeah, I wouldn't say, like, it says early 2015 still, that's still what they say, but I don't think it'll be early 2015. I think we'll be seeing it mid to late 2015.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, of that. But if I also just wanted to touch on the Planet side module. They haven't really said like anything about it being moved at all. So I still wouldn't be surprised if it does come around April, March, because I remember them saying that one reason they did postpone the dogfighting module release was that they wanted to make sure their multiplayer was working perfectly. So I wouldn't be surprised if around the same time the dogfighting module came out, that was when you'd be allowed to have your friends in your hangar and go down to planets and whatnot and just hang out. Because then the multiplayer will be up and running, so you can actually interact with the people.
They can't do that, man, because, I mean, that's just too much goodness all at once. I'd explode. Yeah. So, like, they need to take it one step at a time with me. I don't know if my heart could handle too much.
I just think
Star Citizen.
I agree, that would be quite the load, but yeah. It's what we need.
Oh man, I'm ready for it. Okay, so next, Drevin, you had the next question in the hunt.
Yeah, it's not so much a question, more or less a topic. The pricing and the payment model of this game. I just wanted to touch up and talk about, what it's going to be like before the game launches and what we see now for those people who are new to Star Citizen. And then I'm going to also talk about what it's going to be like after launch. So overall, I like the way they're doing their payment model. If you there's enough pledge packages right now that you can cover a wider range of people. So they have pledges down to $30 for just the game and an Aurora. So that's for the people who, A, want to pledge a little bit, but B, they also want to start small and work their way up, have a good journey or whatever. And then they have packages, like the $15,000 completionist pack, which is if you really want to support this game. I mean, I heard a story about a guy who bought three of those.
Holy cow.
Yeah. They also have a subscriber option, which is not mandatory. It does nothing to get you anything more out of the game rather than, I mean, you get to see some concept art maybe like a week before everybody else. That's usually it. You also get Jump Point, which is a monthly magazine that has really good stuff about, their development ideas, and you really go to the back of the scenes images and conversations. You see some of their emails with each other, which is pretty interesting. But the game is set to be simply a buy-to-play game at launch. It's you're gonna buy it once. It's gonna be free after that. They are gonna have microtransactions now. Before there's a lot of topic of oh my god, it's gonna be pay to win, this and that. Well, they said very specifically that yes, you can buy in-game credits, but there will be a cap to how much you can buy in one day, which is currently $25 US dollars worth. And there's also going to be a monthly cap, which I believe is 150,000 or 150 US dollars, which is 150,000 credits in game. I don't know how much that will change, but he said he's really not interested in it being something that will be that will change the tides of anything. But I guess, there have been people that have speculated that, well, I mean, what's to stop a person from owning multiple copies of the game and buying, through multiple games?
Yeah.
Now, I say to that, there's only so much that they can thwart. If someone does that, I mean, I guess they're free to. I mean, they're also spending a lot more money on the game and not really making much out of it because there is no, term of winning in this game per se.
Yeah.
So, I think it's nice to have that for the people who can't play too often, like the older person who has a family, can only play at night for a couple hours at a time. I think it's fine. And then they're also going to have the Voyager Direct store, which is going to be a transaction store. Currently, it uses in-game credits, so I'm assuming that it'll continue that trend into the game. So anything on there you can buy through just getting the money in game. But they mentioned stuff, not only what they have in there now, which is like the buggy, the fish tank, the workbench, stuff like that.
Yep.
But they're going to continually add to it, and they even mentioned something like purchasable character slots. Now, this can let you have more alternate characters that you can play. Say you want to be a pirate, and then your other character can be like upstanding citizen, a merchant, or something like that.
Yep.
And then B, it also lets you use that character slot to make your own customized NPC crewmen. So for you RP role players out there, you can form this whole scenario where this is your cousin's uncle or something. Who knows? But you're free to do that. And they haven't really said what happens if that crewman dies. I would assume you just get that character slot back, and then you can create another one. But
That sounds pretty cool. I'd be interested in doing that. So,
Yeah.
one question I have on the subject is the game is going to be buy to play. You're going to purchase it to play it, but is there a separation between Squadron 42 and Star Citizen? So will you have to buy both games? After all of this pledging has been shut off. After the game launches, because currently I have both. Just because I pledged, you guys too. But for all those guys who start up after the pledging is done and we're into the game's launch, will they have to purchase both copies if they want to play both? Or is it a bundle deal?
No,
Yeah.
CIG has said that, it's Star Citizen includes both Squadron 42 and the Persistent Universe.
Well-
They're not going to cheat you out of the other.
Well, my thing is, I know they said that, but there's also, I was looking into it earlier this week. I saw a couple posts by Aaron Roberts, the guy head of the Manchester offices, is that he said, basically you could consider Squadron 42 an actual separate game that will allow you to take your character from that game and put it into the Persistent Universe. So now I know they're packaging the bundles together, but what we could see, I'm not saying it's going to be, but what we could see is that once the game launches, they'll have like a, here's $30 for Squadron 42, here's $30 for Star Citizen.
Yeah.
They might break it up because there are people that are just not interested in
One or the
the
other.
persistent universe, and they just
That's
want
true.
Squadron 42, and they'll wait for the episodic releases and stuff like that.
Cool, cool. All right, well, that does it for the hunt. Now we're moving on to the howling session. And again, this is just where we are going to bring some personal questions relating to the topic that we're talking about to the table, and we're going to answer them kind of more casual. So here's the first question that I have. I'll lead it out. What got you into this game? And for me personally, like, I have kind of a little, endearing story that got me into Star Citizen. I had seen the Kickstarter early on, and I saw what they're doing. I was really excited for it, but I just wasn't ready to commit. I mean, that's a lot of money on, what could be a cool concept and cool game. But later on, last year, 2013, when they finally released the hangar module and I got to see some of the ships, the one ship that just caught my interest was the Merlin, the P-52 Merlin that's packaged with the Constellation. Constellation is cool and all. I've done a spotlight on it on my Star Wolf channel, but it just doesn't fit me because I just don't see myself flying this huge ship with a big crew unless I do NPCs. I'm not down with that yet. But yeah, the Merlin itself, just the aesthetic of it, it just looks so awesome. And I like the look of it, and it looks so much like a Cowboy Bebop ship that I just was like, if I can get that ship eventually, I want to get this game. So let's go ahead and pledge now. I'm ready to commit because they're showing us something. They're showing this hangar module. So pretty much the Merlin got me to jump into this game. And it's kind of weird to say because the Merlin is very overlooked as a ship. It just isn't utility use. It's just not all that like some of these other ships. So anyways, that was mine. It's kind of a weird one. What about you, Canadian? What got you into this game?
Actually, my friend sent me a link like a long time ago, sometime during I think it was around June. And he was like, "Oh, dude, you got to check this out. This is so sweet." And so I clicked the link, and I watched like the first minute of the video, and I was like, "All right, that's pretty cool, but I'll watch it later." And I totally forgot about it for like I just completely forgot. I did see the page, and it was like the old one. It was when LTI was still around, and then around November. I don't know why, but I think I might have seen the name somewhere, and it just sort of triggered. I was like, Star Citizen, what was that? Oh, yeah, that's what my friend was showing me. And so I'm like, I guess I should probably go and check it out now. And funny thing, he didn't even pledge by that time. I still pledged before him. But yeah, so I was like, oh, yeah, I'll check it out. And then I watched the full video, and I was just like, why did I skip out on this? Like, this is going to be the greatest game ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I immediately went to the pledge store and looked for my ship. And then I went back to my friend and was like, yeah, so you remember that Star Citizen thing? Yeah, I pledged. But he was just like, so you finally looked at it.
Yeah.
Sort of like, look who's came crawling back attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then he pledged a bit after me.
Cool. So Drevin, were you on pretty early? Had you pledged pretty early on?
Mine's similar to CanadianEgg's. I was watching it during the Kickstarter, and I've done a couple Kickstarters, but like I usually wait until like the very last minute to see how far they've gotten.
Yeah.
Because if it looks like a game's not gonna actually make it, I'm not gonna whatever Kickstarter is not gonna make it, I'm not gonna actually just put my money out there. So I was waiting, and I can't remember around that time frame. There was some game that I was just like, oh my god, I gotta play it, and I was playing it, and I completely lost track of time. Next thing you know, I heard it ended, and I was like, oh man. And I checked the price, and I realized that they had made a ton of money. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. Guess I don't have to pledge for it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then, some months later, I heard it in the news and, someone's talking about it. And I was like, ooh, hanger module, that's cool. Too bad I didn't pledge for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know that they still had pledging going on. And then one day, I just happened to sit there and I was reading about the Vandal Scythe and I realized that they actually sold some. And I was like, oh, wow. And then I heard it was actually like, I think it was like the day after the end of the Kickstarter or something like that. And so that kind of prompted me like, I thought they would have sold it during the Kickstarter. So I kind of looked into it and realized that they were actually still taking pledges. And I was like, wow, I feel dumb. So then, I made the jump, pledged, and felt terrible for not getting a Vandal Scythe like I wanted.
Well, it sounded like it was a slow crawl for all of us to get to pledge to this game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then once you do pledge, you can't stop, and you got to learn everything about it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like selling your soul.
Yeah, I do wish I was earlier on, pledged
yeah,
it.
for
But I
sure.
mean, this game in particular is so expensive to get into. So I just saw that price tag. I was like, this looks awesome. Like I'm into this. Like as far as intellectually goes, I am into what they're doing here. But as far as pocketbook, I just can't commit that on a game that hasn't released anything yet. And so then when the hanger module came in, I was like, okay, they have something, and it looks awesome. Hangers, tip top. So I mean, that's when I was like, okay, you showed me what I needed to see. I'm in. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Like since I made my pledge in November, I saw that like I was like, oh, what's this hanger module thing? And then I was like, oh, you need a package first. And so then I was like, oh, okay, I guess I better decide on which package I get.
yeah. Yeah, so that brings us to the next question, which I believe yours, Canadian Egg, was what was your first package, your first ship?
Well, my first ship, I was thinking about like the pricing, which after I got it, I couldn't stop. But my initial purchase was my most important to me. But I had to decide on one for my initial buy. And I thought, what would I spend my money on anyway? Like when I buy an average game, how much do I buy? How much do I pay, right? So I thought around $60 to $80 for like collector's editions and whatnot. But I ended up going with the Avenger because my initial thought coming into the game was, I don't know, bounty hunting or pirating or something like that. Not anymore, but like I thought it would be a good all-around ship for that, since it's like an old policing vessel. So I thought it'd be fast and would hit hard.
For sure.
So that was my initial buy, but it's not like that matters anymore with all my ships.
You still have that Avenger, or did you melt it down?
Well, actually, I did, but I still have an Avenger. But it was because I ended up buying the Constellation package later, like the actual package, and I was like, well, I don't need two packages, so I melted down the Avengers. My Avenger got $75 store credit, and then just bought the regular Avenger for $60.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
So it still holds a close place in my heart, though.
Cool. Awesome. And what about you, Driven? What was your first ship?
Well, when I remember the days of the initial announcement of Star Citizen, and they kept showing off the Hornet. And so I was like, well, I can't have the Vandal Scythe. The Hornet's like my second favorite, so I ended up buying an Avenger.
Avenger as well.
Yeah. It was like my price range at the time. I really wasn't looking to, throw enormous amounts of money at the game. So I bought an Avenger because I thought, man, that's a gorgeous piece of artwork right there. That really looks cool. I like the Gatling gun on the front and all that.
Walter was pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
I think that's how a lot of us felt, because that was the same thing. I wanted something that could do some serious damage myself, but it felt a little pricey for the initial buy, $125.
Yeah.
So eventually I ended up actually melting that Avenger down, and I got a Hornet, the Hornet Ghost specifically. And then from there, it's just a tale of ship to ship until eventually I had all the ships, but I don't.
Do you still have an Avenger in your hangar?
Currently, yes.
Yep.
Which
Cool.
is kind of funny. I actually got that as a tip from somebody for helping them with a gray market
Wow,
deal.
that's a huge tip.
Oh yeah, you told me
Yeah,
about
I know,
that one.
right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was finally able to get an Avenger back
Awesome.
because I didn't want to buy one.
Yeah, well, my first ship was let's see, it was the Aurora LN. So, got the Legionnaire. I was happy with it. No, wait. No, I take that back. I actually got the 300i. It's my first ship. Then I,
That was my second ship.
yeah, then I downgraded to the LN just to review it. Okay, so actually, yeah, I had the 300i at first. And I was actually happy with the 300i. I would have just stuck with it, but I wanted to start reviewing ships. So that's why I was like, okay, this is just going to be liquid currency right here. I'm just going to melt everything and just purchase all the way up the chain. But then, model viewers came along and saved me lots of money, on buying ships to review them. So, yeah, so mine was 300i, and it's gone. It's dead. Sad to say. I won't buy it back. I have a 315p, so there's no point in buying a 300i at this point. So.
Yeah. I got a 300i for my second ship, and then I upgraded it to a 325A. Because I thought if I'm gonna have a luxury starship, it might as well pack a punch.
Yeah, I want
just in case, right?
I want to modify my 315p, load it out with some guns to kind of be a hybrid 315p / 325A. I think that would be a great little union right there. So
pretty much you just got to mount the rockets on there. Then you got the side turrets or side guns on there already, and you got the nice tractor beam
Yep.
on the front. And there you go. You're pretty much got one.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's see. Draven, you got our last question in the howling session here?
Yeah. Has anyone thought you crazy for buying into this game? Now, me personally, yes. I've had a lot of people think I'm pretty crazy. Because, I mean, I do have a lot of ships. I have a lot of pledges towards this game.
Yeah.
But
you guys
when
both,
I have to
man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of down there.
I feel your pain, man. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's like, shut up and take my money, please. Yeah. But, which I actually have that skin. But anyways, that's besides the point.
Yeah, I do too. I actually bought that one as well.
When I have to explain to people, I usually start out with something along the lines of explaining that I used money to make money with the game so I could afford all my ships. Because it sounds way worse if I just tell them what ships I have beforehand. I usually have to give a disclaimer, you know what I mean? Otherwise, they're like, you spent how much? But it's actually gotten to the point where in TeamSpeak I get asked every day, 10 times, what ships do you have again? So I've actually made my own post of my hangar, the picture of my hangar, so that they can all just see everything that I got, and I'll just let them figure out what they think about that. But it just blows people's minds that someone would throw this much money at a game that's pre-alpha, and it actually surprises me. I never thought I would do this with a game. I have paid for games. I have no problem doing subscriptions. I have no problems, with some microtransaction models in games. But this game, I don't know what it is, man. I think it's like the ambition and the scope and the fact that, the people working on it actually have a chance to deliver something that I've always wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, take my money, please make my future,
Yeah, no, I'm just same way. I never, okay, I'm cheapskate. I'm poor, and I'm the type of guy that waits 2 years for a game on Steam to die down to $10. I'm like, yeah, I can finally play that game. And that's the kind of guy I am. And so for me to even spend over $100 pre-alpha on a game, that's astronomical for me personally. So I'm there with you. I'm just, it's pretty crazy that I am spending money on this game, but there's a reason for me doing that, and there's a reason that you feel you're doing that. So I think it's grounded for us at least. So what about you, Egg?
For us.
Yeah, for us. Just a quick question. How many ships do you have again, Trevin?
I want to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 9 or 10.
9? Yeah, because you got some of the special ones, especially that scythe, right? That scythe, though.
Yeah, that scythe, though. Let me tell you, most expensive purchase on a game, and who knows how long. I mean, if you don't count making a gaming rig, but
yeah.
Well, hell, it cost about as much as my gaming rig did.
Cost more than mine. Actually, no, not anymore. My initial one, yes, but not anymore. But either way, on to my has anyone thought I was crazy? Absolutely. Everyone I've told thinks I'm crazy. Uh, one of my friends that I gave a sort of window of how much I actually spent. As I said, I have 7 ships. So every time I bring up Star Citizen to anyone else that's not him while he's around, he always yells out, "He spent over X amount of money!" Like he just yells it out, like on the game, and I'm just like, "Yes, thank you, I have." And he has pledged himself, but he just got himself an Aurora LN.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. Yeah, like I am a subscriber, and normally I don't do subscriptions. Normally I'm like, no, if I bought the thing already, I should be able to play it for as long as I want. That's my sort of ideal. It's like I paid for it, it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Star Citizen is just something that I'm extremely passionate about. So I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm happy to allow Wingman's Hangar to continue. I'm happy to further the development of this game. I'm happy to help CIG get info out to the community. But yeah, it was so a lot of people think I'm crazy for buying into this game, and I did for a while there too.
Yeah.
But my mentality was just sort of like, right now, I have the money, and I do work, so I'm gonna make that money back. And then even to get a couple of my ships after I spent some money on credits and credits and ships and whatnot, I was able to. I sort of melted certain ships and moved my store credit around in order to get sort of the setup I wanted, like I did with melting the Avenger after I bought the Constellation. So I sort of did that with not spending any more money than I already have. But yeah, definitely people have thought I was crazy, and it did take a lot for me to actually spend the amount that I have. But it was something that I so far don't regret, and I don't think I will, because this game obviously goes. I think it goes for itself. Looks very promising.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't have spent this much money.
Yeah, for me, I think I'm there with you. I mean, there's always the hesitation after you push the buy button. I think you kind of alluded to that, but I remember the first night I purchased one of these ships, and the one after when I bought that ship from you, Drev, and I was like, that night lying in bed, I was like, what did I do with that? What did I just do? So, but after thinking about it, like the thing that I am okay with is compare it to a game like World of Tanks. You can purchase tanks with real money in that game, but here's the problem. Here's the issue that I have with them charging money for those tanks. Yes, you have a tank. It's your own. It's in your garage, but you can only go out and do a battle with it. And for me, these ships, it's our ships, but there's so much more you can do than just do a matchmake with it. That in my opinion alone, just having this ship, it really feels like it is actually your ship, because yes, you can take it out of the garage if you want to. You can go on a trip with it. You can sell it. You can do all these things with it that you just can't in other games. You just can't do hardly anything with your purchase content in other games, and this one is different. I feel like, yes, like an investment in a ship that you can do so much with in this kind of an open game. Yeah, for sure. I'd put real money down for that, because it feels like it's more of it's a smarter transaction than, say, something like a tank in World of Tanks, because really all you can do is look at it in your garage and play it in a matchmaking game. That's all you can do.
Yeah, that was really that was what sold me on the game too. One thing, and just because I love role playing and I love like a living, breathing virtual universe. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, like you said, my ship's not just for fighting. When I'm playing the game, that's gonna be my transport. That's gonna be my car. Like I love my car in real life. I that's how I get around in real life. So I can use my Aurora to get around in Star Citizen.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really felt that I was comfortable with putting the money in the game, especially after I made this much. I was like, well, it's gonna succeed anyway.
Yeah.
So I was like, with all this money, it would be pretty hard to screw it up.
Yeah, it's true.
And plus, like, because I was also like, I I played Freelancer, and so I really enjoyed it. So I'm like, okay, so I know Chris Roberts is a good like developer as well. So I was comfortable with the guy doing it. Same with my attitude. I'll make the money back eventually, right? So if it does flop, then yeah, I'll be really disappointed and yeah, like obviously it would just suck so much, but
Yeah.
I would by the time the game comes out, I'm gonna have made my money back anyway. But
Yeah,
uh,
I didn't really mention that. I didn't really answer the question directly myself, but I've had people that really do think I'm kind of a little off when I mentioned that. Yeah, I pledged 200 plus on this game. I'm like, what? You don't have anything to go on. I was like, no, they got the hangar module so you can look at your ship. It's like it's a really nice ship. So they're like,
yeah,
no,
so
dude, no.
I think we all get
This
that.
is pre-alpha. You don't do that. You're just and they're pretty disgusted with me. But it's so hard to explain the charm of this game unless they actually do the research themselves. That's the killer. It's like I'm talking to my brother. I'm like, no, this is different. This is the golden one. This is the Holy Grail that we've been waiting for. And he's like, let's just wait until it comes out and see if it's the Holy Grail. I'm like, no, you've got to look. You do a little bit of research. You'll find it's they are on the right track. And he's like, no, I'm just not gonna waste time on a pre-alpha game. It's like,
Yeah,
kills
yeah. I
me.
actually keep trying to convince my brother too, and he keeps asking me like I'm tired. Like I have no. Also, wait, just going on the microtransactions. Like I'm a TF2 sort of collector, so I have no problem with microtransactions. I buy a ton of keys just as long as they don't shove it down your throat. I'm okay with microtransactions.
Yeah.
But yeah. Like I don't even tell people like how much money I've spent anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm so sick and tired of the reactions because I get it every time. And so yeah, when my brother goes like, so how much money did you spend on this again? I'm like, that's classified information.
Yeah.
And he's like and then he like starts giving me like ideas like over $500. I'm like, I can neither confirm nor deny that I have spent X amount of money. And he just goes like, oh my God. Like he just like shakes his head.
Yeah.
Just thinking,
They'll see. It'll come out and it will be a blockbuster, and they'll figure out. Oh, okay, you guys were founded.
it's also a certain attraction. But sorry, Drevin, go ahead.
No, well, I was just gonna say, it is quite comforting knowing that there's people that spent more than me in this game.
Yeah.
So that helps me sleep at night.
I wouldn't spend that much money on a scythe.
Yeah, well, it's gone up. It's gone up since I got mine. It's like 1,900 now, U.S. dollars. Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. This game, it does funny stuff.
Yeah.
Does funny stuff to my brain.
Yes. The child inside me is just like freaking out at this point. That's why I don't think if they release 2 modules at a time, I could not handle that so much. So, because I mean, to be honest, I'm still running around my hangar on a daily basis. So that's
Yes. Yeah. Same thing. You just sit inside your ship and
Yep.
you're gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be so fun.
So yeah, pretty much.
And then someone comes into your computer room, looks at you, shakes their head, and walks the other way.
Yep.
So I have counted. I have 9 ships currently. I might have a 10th because today in Wingman's hangar they announced that there's going to be a new ship being shown this Friday, and they showed a silhouette of it, and I'm telling you, it looks good.
Yeah. Well,
It looks real good.
this will probably air on Friday or Saturday, so they'll probably be able to go on right over there to RSI and check that ship out.
And also,
Yeah.
just little news here, I guess, if we're on the topic of new ships. I was, for people wondering about like Retaliators and whatnot and all those ships that you currently can only get on the gray market with LTI, I was in Wingman's Hangover one time. Well, in the chat, obviously not. I wasn't on it, but and I asked Eric Peterson, like, once the models are done for Retaliator, Caterpillar, and Starfare, are we gonna see him on the Pledge Store? And he said yes. Like he said, yeah, absolutely. When they're done, you're gonna see him there. But they're obviously not gonna have LTI, and we don't know if it's gonna be like a permanent installment, or if it's gonna be like the Banu Merchantman where they sold it for a day or a couple days. And So we'll see about that. But and obviously everything is subject to change,
Yeah.
subject to redaction, as they like to call it. But
Cool. Well, that pretty much wraps us up for this week. We're talking about doing maybe a weekly show for you guys. We really need some feedback on that. Yeah, we're thinking about maybe switching it to a weekly thing. That sounds just, the more the better, I suppose. So anyways, I have been your guys' host, Starwolf, Canadian Egg, and Drevin here, and appreciate you guys chiming in on all these questions, asking the questions, and really appreciate your knowledge and your view on all these different ships that really I have only 2 so far. You guys are just so ahead of me as far as ships go. It's just pretty cool to see, the display of power that you guys have in the universe. So
that's what happens when you sell your soul.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You can go a little bit crazy with the Star Citizen bug. So anyways, thanks guys for coming and joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.